Hi and welcome to the Great Debate Contest. I'm your host, George Karaoke. Thank you for joining us. As Africa, we have received and continue to receive aid to avert disasters or salvage our economies. This, however, raises a question. Is there anything that comes with trade? And if there is, are there any underlying consequences? The book at the motion today is aid does more harm than good in Africa. Let's see how about this.
The motion this week is aid does more harm than good in Africa. Proposing the motion, Aquinas High School. Opposing the motion, Machakos Boys School. Each contestant has 3 minutes to make their submissions. The audience also gets a chance to put their questions to each team. Each side will have an additional 1 minute to make a final statement. The judge's decision is final. But in a twist, the audience also gets to have their say through the popular vote. This will see an extra 5% added to the school that wins this vote. The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with a widescreen TV, computers, webcam, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a laptop and modem courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Hako, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win!
Proposer number 1, you get to argue your motion first. You have 3 minutes, take the floor.
My name is Ted Madenge, and I'm here to propose the motion that states that aid does more harm than good to Africa. Now, on to my first point, unemployment. More often than not, after students graduate from the education system in Kenya, they go out to the world, and after seeking for jobs, they come out unemployed. Why? This is because most of the companies or industries have sought for help from the developed countries, maybe because they think that this will develop their countries more. So this leaves many of our graduates who are equally qualified out of jobs because people from the developed countries have their jobs. Also, on the point of unemployment, we see that most of the students who go out to look for jobs, they look for white-collar jobs. What do I mean? Most of the students think that having a job means sitting in an office behind a computer for a whole day. This is because maybe they have got the wrong or the negative idea from the developed countries. Actually, what is a job? A job is something that you do to earn a living. So I think instead of focusing more on the white-collar jobs, they could go back to the blue-collar jobs like masonry, carpentry, or agriculture. On to my second point, food security. Let me give an example of the US. In Britain, when they introduced the land ownership rule, the peasants who were not able to grab land sought out with a bag of grain, a hoe, and mined so that they could come up with the current USA. And look at where they are now. In Kenya, we have the bag of grain, we have the hoe, we have the labor. I do not see why we still depend on foreign countries for their aid in food. What do I mean? We still depend on foreign countries for their GMO food. Yet we have the labor, we have the resources, we have the water, we have the land, so that we can work to develop our own country. Thank you very much.
My name is Philip Ulinge. I'm from Machakos School, and we are opposing the motion that food, as in that the aids are doing more harm than good in Africa. Even from the motion itself, you can agree with me that they are doing more good than harm. Let's see. First of all, we should know that these aids are in diversity. Secondly, we should understand that aids, this refers to helping a person accomplish a task that he or she couldn't do alone. So you have understood the meaning of AIDS in this point. So you should first of all understand that we are Africans. And being Africans, that doesn't mean that we are poor. It doesn't mean that we are desperate. For instance, let's take an example of United States of America. The blacks, as per the statistics now, they show that the blacks are outnumbering the whites. So that means that the blacks are even doing far much better than the whites. But according to Africa, we find that poor governance and neocolonialism, they are the things which are pulling us back. So, Africans, please remember that you are not poor, you are not desperate. You have a talent, you have a gift, you have that culture that you have to preserve. Another thing, you should know that when you talk of international relationships, they are built during these aid programs, whereby a country and another country, as in they bond together to make one complete thing. These can be illustrated as in whereby you find that a country and another country is like they are brothers. In the great debaters contest, we are debating, right? But the moment we move out of that door, we'll shake hands. Of course, that's what normally occurs. We shake hands and we forget the whole story about it. So when the aid programs are continuing, it means that these countries, okay, they are aiding each other, and in the process, they are building those international relationships. Let's go to economy. You can talk of economic development in this way. A country going to another country to aid that country to accomplish a given task. Those two countries, as in, for example, Africa and other nations, they realize that you can give me oil, I give you food. You can give me machinery, I give you what? Weapons. So through that, we find that economic development is enhanced through Africa and through the combination of Africa and other nations. Let's go to human resource. You know that we very, very much require human resource. I know there's that somberness when you refer to other states, but all the same, we need those states in this continent. When the other day, when in Liberia, we can take a good example of Charles. We all know Charles Taylor. This guy was performing acts against humanity. But imagine, with all the judges and all the lawyers in Africa, the ICC, as in seriously, the ICC have to come in between to ensure that person seeks justice. Yes, it's unfair, but yes. For example, Kenya, we had a case with the ICC, but that does not mean that you cannot use them to improve our country. So, ladies and gentlemen, one man is not an island, so let's not rely on Africa only. Thank you.
Proposal number 2, you have 3 minutes.
I can't believe that my colleagues here are actually disagreeing with this motion. Because Africa as a continent, the Europeans have for so long exploited us. And I just can't believe that you haven't seen that up to now. For example, you say that the Europeans, they excel in talent, right? But here in Kenya, if you come to Africa, really talent is not appreciated. For example, you'll find that children, since they are young, from their childhood, they're exposed to maybe cartoons from the West. But then I ask myself for this one question. Why can't we Africans start making our own materials so that children from a younger age can start believing from a different perspective, believing that Africa has something to offer. When they come here, those Europeans and from the West, they start influencing our children from such a tender age. That is my first point. My second point, we have, I can't actually believe, I saw that our own judges are being vetted by our own judges. What am I trying to say? We don't need aid from the West or ICC to judge our judges, because it had an impact. Because even before the voting, some judges actually stepped down. This shows me that Africans are capable of doing their own things without involving the West, without getting their aid or their help. Thank you. That was my point.
Proposal number 2, you have 3 minutes.
I'm Nixon Murimi, and I come from Machakos School. Okay, I beg to differ with the first proposer. First thing, we have, as an African country, we have to acknowledge where we come from. We have to know where we are at the moment. We are right where we are at the moment. We know that we are not that stable. We need their help. We cannot do this alone. Okay, I'll give an example of a baby. When the baby is young, the parent will take hold of the baby, teach him how to make the first step, then the second step. Then by the third step, the parents lets go. Then the baby walks alone. The baby will start running. Now, as Kenya, I see what the other countries are trying to do by aiding us. They are trying to show us the way. And we cannot refuse their aids because we know that we really, not desperately, but we require their aids. Okay, on to my second point is about employment. When we're given the funds, most of these funds are used to invest in businesses. When a business is started, we have employment opportunities. Nobody can differ from me. Now, if you get these opportunities, each and every person that sees opportunity, who sees that opportunity, will take it. Now, it depends on you if you see it or if you don't. Now, the people who are saying that no opportunities, employment opportunities, are the people who do not know where to look. The opportunities are there because we are being aided by these countries. There is no way that we can be given so much money, so much funds, yet we have not done anything with them. Okay, on to my third point is that opportunities are created. Everybody accepts that. Opportunity is created. As much as you may see, this is an opportunity that has come to me, there is somebody somewhere who has worked on that opportunity so that you can get it. So take heed of that chance that you're given. And I'd rather ask you a question as I finish. We say that we are asked to be given sponsorship by maybe Harvard University. And they come here, they tell you, we give you one condition. If you get the master's degree, you must work for us as a lecturer for 5 years. Then you can go back to your country. Is that exploitation? Is that really exploitation? You really have to decide whether you'll take the opportunity or leave it. Thank you. Have a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Kimani from Machakos Boys Center. Coming up, questions, comments, and of course, the results. Don't you touch that remote, because up next, the drama is only getting better and better.
The second proposal from the proposer said that Western cartoons are being exposed to our young children. So I'd like to ask him, how is this related to aid, and does the proposer understand the meaning of aid and its relationship to Africa? Thank you.
He talked about the judges in Kenya being self-sustained, that they have enough justice. Let's go back to Kenya, back in time. Didn't the government of Kenya create the tribunals to deal with the Robert Auko case? What happened to that tribunal? What were the results? Nothing was done. But here we are talking about the ICC interfering. Yet here they are. What have they done? The Ocampo 6 are up there. Justice is prevailing. And my question is, do you support that, what I've said, or do you deny it?
I'm John Minor from Aquinas High School. My question goes to the opposing side. He has said that we have to rely on the Western side for our development. Now, if you look at our Kenyan history, since 1900 up to 1963, we are living under the colonial man. Come now after that, we have the new colonialism. Now, when now comes the government of NAC, it has brought us, it has taken us to the west, to the east. But what do we see from the east? we have our lords who are the beneficiaries, we Kenyans. But if we look at that, do we have always to rely to the western side or the eastern side, whichever it is, for us to develop? Can we not start on our own and have our own confidence? We as Africans and we as Kenyans and I as an individual, as John or as another person, and say they do this, also me I can do it. Okay, thank you.
Daniel Aburi, the Great High School. My question is quite simple. In the very many years ago, or let's say in the recent past, we African countries have been fighting for our independence. And I thought that we were able to get that independence. In the process, actually lost very many lives. Why then going back to our roots, trying to ask for independence again? Yet we already got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just first start with Emmanuel's question. You asked our second proposer if he understands the meaning of aid and how it's related to cartoons. Well, you find the cartoons that our children are being shown right now are things that they are not supposed to see. A child of 5 years will come and tell you a story that he has seen in cartoon that is truly not something that he's supposed to be speaking about. Let me not go deep into things like Illuminati. Let me not go deep into things that are hidden from our children, but they are really there, and they are really just covered. And to go to my other friend, yes, I agree with you. These things had been, let's say, swept under the carpet. But do you want to tell me that when you come from north to south, east and west Africa, you can't find leaders that can come together, merge, and form one mind and bring these people to justice? Do we have to run to the west so that we can come to justice? Ponder about that. Now let me talk about debts. Now, if a country is so used to borrowing money, now what does this do to the government? It burdens the government so that the government doesn't have enough time or can't put their minds to it that they need to develop their countries, but rather they spend more time in repaying the debts. Now let me go to when a country continues in borrowing debts, in loaning money each and every time, it gets to a point whereby there's a tendency of not being independent, but they depend on these Western countries, and whereby they undermine us and they call us crippled. Let me ask you, you're intelligent. As our first opposer said, you have talents. Now, do you want to tell me that with the talents that you have, the gifts, the opportunities that are presented, you are still crippled? Now, the first opposer said that we shake hands and forget the whole thing. Let me ask you, what is the whole essence of the great debaters contest? Now, the main thing is, after you come here, you are able to deliberate, to ask questions, to folly, to interact, to share information. Now, when you get out there, you don't just shake your hands and walk away. You contemplate on the information that you have shared here. So stand with me. Stand with my colleagues. Stand with Julie here. Stand with the judges. As we say that we are not crippled. We are not crippled. No, we are not crippled. We are going to stand. We are going to stand and say that don't undermine us. We can do it. We are going to make it. Don't look at us as if we cannot make it. We are going to head for it. We are going to aim for the sun, even if it means we are going to land on the moon. Thank you very much.
Opposer number 3, this is your opportunity to answer your question.
My name is Joshua Mwamba from the Machakos School. Now, to answer you, John, you're asking if we really need foreign help. My answer is simple. Yes, we do. You're comparing us with Kenya before colonialism. Let me tell you something. Kenya did not even have guns before colonialism. They brought the guns here. If they did not come, we will be still using shields and spears and knives and what else? Arrows. And to the second question that was posed to me, we are asking for help. We are not asking for the whole country to come here and dominate us again. Okay? We are asking for only help. Listen. Listen. The main idea of helping is we have tried, but we can't. We are now seeking more help. We cannot say Africa does not need help. By the way, saying Africa would not need help, that's arrogance, which leads to ignorance, which is bliss. Let me tell you something, again. Huh? When you fall into a pit latrine and you don't ask for help just because you are fearing the other person who is helping you to ask for something in return, you're going to stay there, inside there, all by yourself. And you're going to struggle, but I don't think you're going to get out. I'm so sorry. Okay? Listen to the title itself. Aid is more of a harm than good. Let me put it in a simpler form. Help is more harm than a good. Listen to the statement itself. Help is more harm than good. Help is more harm than good. That does not make any sense. Let me give you an example of Kenya. Kenya, we are having the Thika Road being managed by some other country, some from maybe China. Yeah, China. Are we going to talk of it as a mistake? Yeah? Another point, the oil exploration is done by foreign countries. Honestly, is that a mistake? If it were not for them, would we be having oil now, which we are depending later for the economic increase of the country? No. No. Okay? No. So, I'm urging you guys, just stop debating. Come join our side. We find a way. We find a way to cure the only thing which is undermining us, which is the leadership. So come, we sit down, discuss how we are going to solve the problem of leadership in Africa. Thank you.
I don't think aid does us harm. Don't get me wrong. Aid does not do us harm. Too much aid, too much dependence on aid does us harm. They gave us an example of a baby being taught to make the first step. What then? They taught us how to make the first step long ago. Do they need to teach us how to run? No, we can do that on our own. So we do not need to depend too much on the aid that they give us. We can learn how to run on our own. Thank you.
Opposer number 1, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I just want to make a simple clarification. About when you're talking about the help, it is us asking the help from those nations. They are not coming to tell us that they want to help us. So if we are asking for help, it means that we are in need, and we have seen the need for those countries to help us. Another thing, the technology is changing, climate is changing, everything is changing. So we cannot rely on our past activities. We cannot rely on our past differences. When I talked of shaking hands out there, I was saying that we shake hands and forget us being opponents on stage. We forget our tribalism. We forget our political differences, and we work as one. Remember, two heads are better than one. So it's better you join us, make one. Thank you.
Let's hear what the judges have to say.
Thank you very much, Aquinas and Machakos Boys High School. It was interesting listening to the two teams defending their stand. You have very good points, and this goes to the two teams. But I think what is lacking was I was looking for the passion. It comes in somewhere towards the end. I wish it started that way as well. So you need to build on your passion right from the start. There were also good uses of analogy, but I think we were struggling with understanding and demystifying what aid is, and what that would mean for the African continent. The other thing that was lacking was, the use of examples to put your points across. You have very good points, but I think what would bring your points to rest or bring them home would be, relevant examples, which we see again towards the end of the debate, but we really did not start from there. But you did a good job, and we can only wait and see what the verdict will be.
I think each team did not have a good introduction. That one everyone will agree with me. Let us see that you understand what aid is all about. Because there's a very big difference between aid and a mutual agreement between nations. All right? And then you talked about neocolonialism. I think that was the second speaker from Machakos. No, first speaker. Let us see the connection between aid and neocolonialism, because they ought to be one. I think that was lacking.
Let me go into some of the issues that were raised, some very interesting issues raised by both sides. I think the issue of cartoons and content seemed to have the audience a little bit perplexed. And when the question was asked, I think you had every chance, Brian, to counter it. And you, in a sense, are right, but I don't know if you quite captured the perspective that we needed to see, because content is a big issue. And especially in the Cold War era, the West and the East were struggling, for instance, to give Africa their content to watch. So I don't know how many of you know that in the 70s and 80s, we were watching a lot of German content, Transtel TV. And that is colonization by content in a sense. So I think I understand the point you were trying to make. I just don't think you did make the point when you addressed the issue. So bring the point home if you're going to make it initially. If you can't bring it all the way home, then don't raise the point at all as a team.
How many people think that the proposers had a better argument by a show of hands? And how many people think that the opposers had a better argument? Opposers have it.
It was very, very close. Aquinas High School, the judges had you at 65%. And Machakos High School, the judges had you at 64%. So with a 5% audience vote, you get 69%. Final tally.
Machakos School, let's see you in the next level of this competition. You have been watching The Great Debaters. I'm George Kariuki. See you next time.
Look at a country like Somalia and even our country, Kenya. We wouldn't be able to match them because actually their standards are too low.
As a united African people, we can take down everything. And we know that we have better people. Many people will come together. Ideas will be shared.
The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with a widescreen TV, computers, webcam, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a laptop and modem courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Hako, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win!